careful, but burning off something for dust.
Right, so I'll do it very quick. Yeah. So last week, did a couple of quick demos on using gouache or watercolour in a gouache style. Finally, one for man. Yeah. So really trying to use watercolour and with white in a quite a sketchy sort of way. So that was the demo I did in the morning and the afternoon class, and they were the two I did for my Tuesday classes. So it's something I quite like to practice a bit more myself, because sometimes I want to work a bit quicker and particularly working outside. And if I don't want to carry too much equipment with me, I think watercolour and a bit of white gouache is a lighter medium to carry around. So I thought that I'd show that just as a possible for when we're going outside. Some of us going to interesting places. And then I thought this week I'd move on to kind of drawing buildings and urban scenes, street scenes. So again, this is one I started on the Tuesday class. So I was basically drawing it out on watercolour paper, and I thought I'd carry on with the gouache idea. So it's based on, this was the painting that I started in Cork when I was away and didn't really quite get finished, so it needs another set. I'll probably have to work on photos now.
I thought that was the photograph.
So it needs a bit more work doing to it, perhaps a few people, a few cars, a bit of work on the windows and things like that.
Where is it from?
Cork. So when I went to Dorset the other week,
Oh, right.
I did this on my holidays. So this was, I drew it out one morning, I drew out shapes one afternoon and then started painting in the morning. So it was like a session.
It took you a whole day to do the shapes?
It took me an hour or so.
Oh.
It was late afternoon. It started about 4 o'clock. It was an hour or so. And then it was time to go to the pub after that. So that was that one. But I thought that was quite nice. So it's this little bit. This bit is this bit in the end. And I actually like the lighting. So I've got a couple of photos I took at different times. This one was, that was when I was actually sketching it out. It was all in shadow. But in the morning, you've got these lovely lights where bits of light would peek through other buildings, and then some bits would be cast into shadow and other bits in light. So that's what I'd like to try and achieve in my painting, perhaps light in some areas, dark in some areas, that sort of thing. With the gouache idea, just to sort of recap, so that one is more like a quick sketch just with paint, so I didn't do any line work beforehand, whereas something like this one, this was the other one I showed last week, that was all drawn out with the lines first, like a pen, fine liner pen, and then just a little bit of watercolour and white gouache over the top. So that's on my sketchbook type thing, that's how I normally use my watercolours. When it comes to drawing these sort of buildings, this is when I started on Tuesday, and I basically sort of started here. And when I was actually drawing this one out, what I tend to do is get one thing that I use as a reference. So I think I use this quite a bit. And then, if I measure that, I can then sort of see how that relates to maybe the width of, like that space there is about the same as that. So I tend to pick something and use that as my reference to scale everything up, And when I draw these sort of things, I tend to start in the distance. So there's a roof somewhere here. I was just in there, there's a little roof there. So that was that roof. And then I basically will just kind of work my way across. And then once I've got something in, I can sort of see things like where that level is against that. Then this comes down a bit, where that relates to that. So it's basically sort of scanning across. And then once I've got something, I quite often start with roofs and these bits here. But once I've got a window in here, which is this building, well actually that's got a lot of ivy in, so this would be a better one to look at, this front face here. Once I've got that window in, I can see this one here is slightly offset to the left of that, and I can carry that on. And then the door is about there. I could maybe just see how high that is compared to something perhaps back, up here. So it's about, although I haven't drawn that in, it's about the same height. I will just judge that and just say that's coming out about here. So basically just kind of just follow the shapes on. Things like this level here is roughly the same as that. This is roughly the same as the bottom of those windows. So it's sort of scanning left and right or scanning up and down. Sometimes if I've got a chimney in, I'll see if that lines up with windows at front face. So it's relating one part to another, maybe it's really vertical or horizontal. So that's what I found a useful way of trying to sort of get all the bits fit together.
I would logically start from the big one.
Yeah,
Work down.
yeah. Well, yeah, I think that is
Yeah.
it's almost like the obvious thing to do.
Yeah.
But-
I also find a line like that.
Yeah. I just find it easier to start small and then do multiples of things. I think the thing with working with something big, I'll go to another sheet of paper. I just find it hard. I find it hard to work that way. I just don't seem to think that way. I seem to find it easier to start with a small thing, and then I can then do multiples of that in terms of the size of it, scale-wise. With sort of drawing buildings, I thought I would just do. I'll do from maybe a section of this building here. This will do. I've noticed quite a few people struggling with angles and perspective. So I'm trying to think of a way of making that easier for everybody. And really with perspective, the basic idea is that if something's closer to you, it's bigger, it appears bigger or longer. And if it's further away, it appears shorter or smaller. So that's quite easy for it. So if you're thinking of building like this, say, or maybe this bit here, this bit I'll do. So this edge here, because that's closer to me, from here to here is going to be a longer distance than from here to here. So the front edge might appear that long. So the back edge of the building will appear that long. And in order for that to happen, it then means that anything that we know is horizontal, like guttering, is actually going to appear at an angle. And then same with the pavement level, that's going to appear at an angle as well. And then if we've then got a roof as well, we've got these sort of bits. So we've got one here, one here. We know that the one closest to us is going to be longer than the one furthest apart, furthest away, so maybe make the other one there. And then for that to happen, that angle gets even steeper. So that will be shorter than that shorter than that, and then the angles just sort of fan out. So I think that's a useful way to think about it and to try and remember it. And if you kind of got that in the back of your mind when you're drawing, you're going to be looking for these to be at an angle rather than a series of horizontal roofs, which again, I had a new student starting this week, and her inclination was to do that, which is because we know that there are roofs are horizontal. But it's trying to draw how things appear rather than what we know. So if that's useful. With this particular street, I think my eye level was probably somewhere here, I think, because I think the angles start to go up on the it's more like here, these will start to go up a little bit. All these bottoms will just come up a tiny bit too, I think. And then probably the tops of these windows, maybe a horizontal or slightly going down, but certainly the bottoms of the windows are definitely going down that way. So my eye level would be so a horizontal would be where I'm standing. So anything that's reading as a horizontal line, that is where the photographer's standing, where the artist is standing. If you're in the scene, where your eye level is. All good? Easy.
I think I'll watch the video.
Sorry?
I think I'll watch the video again.
Yeah, okay. I hope it's recorded. Okay, good. Sorry? Yeah,
It
yeah.
doesn't have to be actually on picture.
Yeah, they could be anywhere really. I mean, as long as you know these are converging, and they should, if all these surfaces are horizontal, I think they should all converge on the same point. Yeah. Yeah, so it will converge on that eye level actually. These will all go down to the same point. And it could be off the page, it could be, yeah. And then things like chimneys, if you've got chimneys, so this top will go back down there, but the other side will go to a vanishing point over here. So again, that's something to look out for. Don't make your chimneys all square at the top. You'll have, if something's going up one side, it's got to go down the other side. To try and, that's another thing that you could try and remember. If it goes up one side, it's got to go down the other side for it to appear in perspective. Yeah, all good? Good, good. That's recording.